Paul Mitchell, sporting director, and we want to talk about him. Obviously, we all know what he's going to be doing for the first team, but as sporting director's role, we'll come at that in a minute. But again, I'll come back to. I've asked you actually. I'll come back to you, Joe, on this. His role with the club, but I want to point out the women's side. It's surely to aid Sue and Becky, not go against.
Oh, it has to be. This whole project that we've seen, we go back to Andy, bringing in Andy, some of the players that were brought in, some of the coaches that we've been bringing in and switching about. It's all been about creating a bigger backroom staff. One thing you'll know, Lee, is how small that staff was at one point, and there wasn't as many people there. Now, if you want to go to the heights that Newcastle want to, you need a big unit who can all support each other and elevate each other. Go back to that iron sharpens iron thing. So I think it's definitely you come in and assist and maybe be able to look at things from a different angle that maybe Sue, we know how invested emotionally Sue is to this club. Maybe Paul...
Well, was at one point she used to keep saying, oh, we brought such and board, oh, we brought such and such, another one. It's like the staff's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it was, and we know, and Sue knows that's what's needed. She needs more people to be able to turn around and go, right, I've got your opinion, I'm not so sure about that, I need your opinion. And I think Paul's going to be someone who's going to be able to come in and give that sort of outside looking in from the roles he's had in previous clubs. He's going to give that outside looking in sort of view to them. If they need advice, they can certainly go to Paul and go, what do you think of this? And he's going to be able to take his emotion, hopefully in any ways. Hope he doesn't get too sucked into the Geordie emotion. I really want this of a sporting director. I hope he is able to put his emotion aside and go, right, there's a job to be done. This club needs to be better regardless of what colour it is, regardless of what it is. This needs to be better. And I think that's what he's there to do. He's there to elevate and help create a bigger unit. Just need it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the relationship, the dynamics with Sue. For people who might not know who Sue is, because we're just talking about like she's what auntie or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? But
I'm gonna call that. Sue, if you're watching this, I'm gonna call it out from now on.
No, we're just talking like Sue or who's Sue. People are thinking, who's Sue? Who's this Sue they keep getting on about? Sue is the head of women's sport at the club, basically, but she knows it's on a personal level. So, a sporting director role, Dale, I'll come to you on this. Effectively, a sporting director should be the football expert, as in the whole club. They'll provide, recommendations for players, academies, and coaching appointments. Joe's literally just touched upon there, the staff getting bigger and bigger. With the academy, the devs, will we see further changes in the long run? And I mean by a better calibre of youth players coming through, someone who can actually break into the first team, like Jazz McQuaid. Is that the next step where we go and pinch and better players? Is pinching the right word? The facilities to get back better for the devs as well. Maybe to train with the same environment, the training complex is the first team. Where do you see the devs in the academy with Paul coming in?
I think what Paul would try and do is like with the development team. Obviously, we know they're smashing each league they're in, so maybe he'll try and put the development team in a higher division, give them more better.
Well, we are because the club got promoted. The youth development they're going to elite league.
Yeah, so that's what I think you'd be doing is like going around there, like sending. Hopefully, he's going to send people away. Right, I want you to go scout the west of England, and then just like if we're looking for a goalkeeper, right, I want a goalkeeper age this, then send them away and see which youngsters we can bring in. Well, I wouldn't say steal, but like buy or inquire, like how much. And then just like, so we are going to keep bringing youngsters through. We're going to keep like bringing back the the development team and just keep them on check.
I would say for me, I would like to see them in the same environment as Becky's team. Literally next pitch.
Yeah,
they have a base, and I think that needs to be, for me, I don't know how you feel, Joe, but for me that needs to be the mid to long term project where either the lasses get whatever they're going to do with Whitley Park, the men's training ground, where they're going to buy the next door or they're going to buy this big massive super complex where everyone's in there. The devs need to be in there.
I agreed. We need all our all our women's unit together now. They need to all be training. Yeah, definitely where they can seek advice from each other. Do you know, they're passing in corridors. You know, like imagine Georgina Spraggan-Babel. I mean, it was probably a lot closer last season with the way our teams are. But imagine a Georgina Spraggan-Babel every day in training past Bridget Galloway last season and ask her advice. How do I curve my shots better? How do I touch the ball down better? Like, can you give us a little bit of advice on this? How do I handle the pressure of a penalty? These are things that are important to have when you've got them all under that one unit. They're all coming in roughly the same times, and maybe some of them, like the players on the senior team, want to look into coaching. Well, what's stopping them from jumping over to the next pitch? Becky, next session, can I just go over and try and train the youth for a bit? Go for it. You know, it creates that environment of, again, iron sharpens iron. So yes, they need to be all under one big house and one big unit. Just get them all there and get them all training together. It's essential.
Even like on the training sessions, like they do a half. So like half the development team and half of them, like the senior team. So both of them are like half and half, and they can learn it off each other. So one side they can learn off Becky, and then the assistant like will bring in the next one they get like there. So they're getting like trained off more like experienced like staff.
It's going to be interesting to see what it is with the women's stuff, because we all know the headlines are with the first team. We know that. But you touched upon signings as well, because he's going to have an influence. Maybe not so much this summer as much as maybe in the future. But you talk about big names. That's going to be surely down to Paul with his contacts and say, right, we're going to get international from the WSL to join us next season. We're a new promote. Let's say we get promoted. We're Dream, whatever. We're being promoted. He's the guy that's going to go after the likes of, I don't know, give me a name.
But you even say it, you could go for likes of Mary Earps, a JC, Nikita Paris, your Millie Brights, any of the big names. Yes, the Lionesses, I get there's a lot of talk at the minute. Everyone's dream names. But these are, when you bring in someone like Paul Mitchell, who's got the SUI, he's not in that position for no reason. He's obviously got the wherewithal to be able to go up to some of these big name players. You even go abroad, go to your Barcelonas and stuff like that, players who are out of favour, and he's going to be able to go, come to Newcastle, you'll get first team play and we'll pay you wicked wages.
It's a no-brainer, isn't it? He's probably going to be the man to do that in the long term and have a proper, and I'm sure they do have like a proper scouting system, but a more comprehensive worldwide, if you want to say that, because you've got to look at the big clubs. If you want to be them, you've got to copy them in some extent, and then not just copy them, but then when you have copied them, what can you do better to get ahead of them? Like to Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea and so on. And then if you look abroad, like Paris and Barca and Real or whatever. Actually, Sam has had his say, believe it or not. He put a video out about Paul Mitchell. This is what he said. Back with you very shortly.
First got promoted, instrumental in the signings of Van Dijk, Mane, all their kind of Wanyama, all them kind of players which they sold for a vast amount of profit. Went on to Tottenham, and then as well as RB Leipzig and the Red Bull group as a whole, and was really instrumental there into bringing in some top talent. So really positive move. And this is what I love the most about our ownership. We can speculate all we like, but when a deal gets done, it bang, comes out of nowhere and smacks you in the face at 9 a.m. on a Thursday morning. Bosh. Love it. Love that about our ownership. When a proper deal gets done, it's not speculated. You don't hear about it in papers or Twitter accounts or whatever for days on end. Yes, he was linked with the position very early on, but so were a number of other people.
So as Sam pointed out there, a lot of his work maybe with the men. Do you agree with that? Where don't neglect the women, because we've just talked about that, but his priority is the men.
I think he'll try and split it 50-50. Hopefully he would do it. But
I don't think it'll be 50-50.
But if it's not that, it'll probably be 75% of the men, 25% of the women, and then leading, letting Sue and Betty do a thing. But then obviously what Joe said earlier, he'll say if you need any advice, I'm here. I'm always here. Just if you need any advice, just come to me, and I'll try and help you out.
I don't think it'll be that high. I think it'll probably be 10 to 15% to begin with, and hopefully that gradually gets bigger. Last question, and then we will wrap up. It was a fairly short podcast, but we did it in person, so
See what he did there, because it's actually getting nippy there.
What did I do there? Did I just do a pun or something?
Yeah, because he said, after this we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
That went over my head, that one.
That went over my head.
that one.
I didn't mean to do that though.
Well done. See, you can't come with me with the pun.
I didn't mean to do that. The last question of the day then. Is a sporting director a good thing for the lasses? Or is it a hindrance?
I'd say it's a good thing, bring the sports director in, because it's like, for the lasses, it's more like, it's obviously a brand new thing, but it's more like it's how the club's progressing. So we're taking, like, obviously we went professional, we're now getting a sports director in. It's going, we are aiming to be the best team in England.
Joe?
To touch down on what we were saying before about the percentages of how much it's going to invest, I think at first it's not going to be a great thing for the lasses. Not as a whole, because there's going to be many people who think, there should be more investment in the lasses team and such, and there's a lot of that going on which we already know of, to the point where they're good on what they have right now and what they are getting. Why does Paul Mitchell need to then take his resources and invest more time and effort into that right now when they are it ain't broke? He doesn't need to fix it. Yes, he will eventually add to it, and I believe in that. I think at first, playing devil's advocate, I just don't think it's going to really be an effect at all for better or worse. It's just going to be Paul Mitchell's here at the club, and he helps Sue and Becky out now and then. In a year or two's time when they're in the Super League, then it'll be a massive benefit. But right now, it is what it is.
Because did Dan Ashworth have anything to do with the women a great deal?
Who?
Yeah, the guy who would... He's out there in the garden.
Dan!
He's out there in the garden. No, he's off garden. He's finished his plants and that. He's been allowed out of his garden now. But let's just hope he sticks around. And my only concern is that, not a clash, because that's not the right word, but let's just say Becky wants a right back and he says no, we've got this right back instead. That's the bit where I think ultimately, easy for me to say, the playing squad, it's got to be down to Becky first, because she's the one who's worked with them. I don't want to become a situation where suggestion players to her, which will happen, but she has to have the final say in my eyes. A bit like Eddie Howe has the final say. But there was another thing as well when, I don't know if you remember when Dan Ginger come in. He's helping the commercial side of things. He's the guy who brought the live streams in Kingston Park.
Yeah.
So that was a clever idea which no one's done before. And now, well, everyone's, but we'll have to see for legal reasons. I don't think that's going to happen next season because the FA can replay the games. But that was an idea where, wait a minute, Brainwave, you get an extra 20,000 viewers there live, 20,000 viewers for the women. Great. You probably get a few of them come to the next home game or want to go to the next away game, etc., etc. So it's little things like that where you've got to think outside the box. Because we were all worried, weren't we? It's like, no one's going to turn up in December. But thankfully, the Tens, the loyalists. So thank you very much to all you for turning up in them cold winter months.